Hello, I'm Michelle Lincoln, principal at Michelle Lincoln Psychotherapy. This will be my first video in a series where I'd like to speak a little bit about anxiety. Anxiety's been a specialty of mine for some time, and I find that even the word can be emotionally charged because so many people experience excessive worry in a way that is distressing and deeply uncomfortable. People ask me in my practice, what can I do to get rid of anxiety? I'm not so sure you can completely get rid of anxiety any more than you can get rid of joy or anger or even fatigue. Get rid of anything that's part of our overall emotional experience. But there are a few things you can do to cope and manage with anxiety. We tend to vilify anxiety because we only think of the negative side of it. But what if we could make peace with the idea that some anxiety is constructive? What if some of it is actually good for us? If anxiety gets us to pay our bills on time, or study for exams if we're students, or stops us from driving on icy roads in a reckless way, the ability to quickly play out a scenario in our minds and deem it as unsafe could be considered discernment or sometimes even good old-fashioned common sense. That side of anxiety may not be the worst thing to have. And then there's unconstructive anxiety, the kind no one likes to experience, the kind that makes us play scenarios over and over in our minds, trying to brace against the possibility of pain, the kind that is unconstructive and unproductive, makes us hyper-focused on the worst case scenario. So let's talk about whether or not you can actually predict that scenario. It's unlikely. An older therapist once said to me, the things we worry about aren't the things that tend to happen. While that language didn't exactly resonate with me, it did get me to ask the question, how often do the scenarios that we play over and over in our mind actually play out in real life in that literal detail that we were so focused on? Very rarely. How often do those scenarios materialize exactly in the way we imagined them? If your answer is anything like mine, it's pretty rare, maybe even never. That in itself can help us to recognize that anxious thought is exactly that anxious scenario is deeply unlikely to actually happen. That in itself can be helpful. Be on the lookout for my upcoming videos on this topic. If there is anything that you would like me to directly address about anxiety, I encourage you to shoot me a DM or feel free to comment in the comment section. As always, please feel free to pass this along to anyone else that it might help, and feel free to contribute to the conversation. Until then, be kind to everyone, especially yourself.